Might sound strange coming from a lifelong gamer, but I've never actually owned a console. I've always managed to get my kicks on a PC, with a mouse and keyboard in hand poised in front of a monitor at a desk. However, with the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, I'm seriously considering making the jump for the first time. Allow me to explain. I ignored the original Switch because I thought it would fail. When the original Switch was first announced in 2017, I was convinced it would fail. Nintendo had been on a downturn for a few years, and combining the Wii and 3DS into a single hybrid console sounded like the worst of both worlds. I figured it would be too bulky for handheld gaming and too underpowered when docked. I was sitting at my powerful gaming PC, looking down on the modest $299.99 console that cost as much as a decent graphics card, fully expecting it to be another misstep like the Wii U. Yet, to my surprise, despite launching late in the 8th console generation, the Switch held its ground even after the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X launched. Thanks to Nintendo's strong first-party exclusive games and widespread third-party ports, it thrived even against its far more powerful competition. Now, 8 years later, Nintendo has released a successor to the original Switch that builds on everything the original accomplished. I see the original Switch as an experiment, a proof of concept, if you will, and the new, refined model is the one worth buying. As Tim noted in his Switch 2 review, it features a larger screen, a more premium and comfortable design, an excellent kickstand, a 120Hz refresh rate display, a must for me, and, of course, significant improvements in both performance and software over the original. Beyond Nintendo's numerous design improvements, mobile chips themselves have experienced a massive boom since the original's launch. The Switch 2's NVIDIA Tegra T239 SoC is a powerhouse. Beyond its raw processing power, the chip supports DLSS and ray tracing. DLSS alone could enable the Switch 2 to run games well into the future, especially with ongoing software optimizations. The console can already run Cyberpunk 2077, though it struggles a bit with the Phantom Liberty expansion, which is proof enough for me that it's equipped to handle the lighter games I want to play. The Switch 2 gives me an opportunity to catch up. Since I've never owned the original Switch or any Nintendo console for that matter, I've missed out on a huge library of exclusives. Some of my friends who own a Switch love the exclusives, so I want to finally see what all the hype is about. Specifically, I'm excited to dive into Nintendo's beloved exclusives: The Legend of Zelda, Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, Xenoblade Chronicles, and all the iconic Super Mario mainline titles and spin-offs. Unlike Sony, Nintendo never brought most of its exclusives to PC and other non-Nintendo platforms, and I'd rather not rely on emulation for a bunch of reasons. Fortunately, now that the Switch 2 is out and mostly backward compatible, with many first-party games receiving Switch 2 updates, it'll be the best way to experience these older Switch 1 titles. The upgraded display has double the refresh rate, and the new SoC can easily power through less demanding titles. And of course, that's all before factoring in all the exciting new games coming to the Switch 2 in the years ahead. My gaming habits have changed as I've matured. You can think of this as personal growth. I can finally see the appeal of the Switch. When the original was released, I was at the peak of my League of Legends addiction and had little interest in games that weren't online, competitive, and extremely stress-inducing. As you probably know, most Nintendo games are the opposite. They're relaxing, approachable, and built to be played anytime, anywhere, for however long you have. I still enjoy competitive games, but I don't take them as seriously anymore. These days, I value single-player experiences more and want to make time for them. I'm also no longer a teenager. I don't have the time or energy to game for hours every day. It makes way more sense now to take a quick break from work, pick up a handheld like the Switch 2, and play for 5 to 10 minutes just for the fun of it. My PC can still be my main platform, but I don't want it to be my only choice. I also travel frequently and spend a lot of time outdoors, so having a handheld would be perfect for gaming in those situations. Technically, I could use my work laptop, but it's bulkier and far less convenient. I'll buy the Switch 2, just not yet. If there's one console I've actually wanted in my life, it's the Switch 2. It offers dozens of exclusives from the Switch 1, with more to come, alongside numerous indie titles that genuinely interest me. Plus, the price is significantly lower than that of more powerful handhelds like the Asus ROG Ally X. Not that I even need a high-end handheld. I can already play AAA games on my far more powerful gaming PC, whether on a 240Hz monitor or a 120Hz OLED TV. That said, I need to clarify that the Switch 2 is not available at its $449.99 MSRP in my country. The lowest retail price I've seen is closer to $700, and that's without any extras or games. There are a few listings from questionable resellers at around $650 without a warranty or return, which is still too much. Considering even the original price can be a stretch for many, and factoring in the cost of games and extra accessories I'd want alongside the console, you can probably see why the Switch 2 is currently out of reach for me. Instead of paying the premium now, I'll just wait for the first wave of gamers to start selling their Switch 2 in a few years, maybe when a Switch 2 OLED comes out. That way, I'll have a chance to grab the console at or even below MSRP, potentially with some discounted extras bundled in like the Switch 2 Pro controller, a case, an expensive microSD express card, and a few used games, assuming Nintendo doesn't ban the console. While I'd love to get my hands on the Switch 2, I'm not in a rush to buy it. The launch lineup of exclusives is a bit underwhelming, and with an $80 price tag on new games, it's smarter to wait for better deals that'll undoubtedly come. I see it as a much better investment than an expensive smartphone, which helps me justify the purchase. Consoles have long lifespans, with years of continued game releases and software updates. And if I eventually finish the games I care about, and the Switch 2 winds up collecting dust, I can always sell it and recoup some of the cost.